OMG! You are watching the worst sports pick video in YouTube history, as evidenced by our records. I am 43, 47, and 3. Gerald is 37, 53, and 3.
So yes, the world's worst pick show ever. We are here for another week somehow. Let's get down to them. Thursday night football. Minnesota travels to New York to take on the Jets, where the Jets are +3 at home.
I'm going with the Jets. I'm going to have some balls on this one and say that the Jets keep things rolling. You know, they like to have surprises at home, and maybe we'll get another here.
Nah, man, I'm going with Minnesota. I think they can win easily by 3 points. I mean, it's going to be a good game because, I mean, the Jets obviously aren't the Jets of futures past, but we're going to go with Minnesota nonetheless. Next up, Detroit takes on Miami. Miami is at home, and it's a straight pick 'em. Who you got?
Miami Dolphins.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Miami Dolphins as well. I mean, they're showing up. I mean, they proved me wrong. I mean, I spent most of the earlier part of the season, Vince, knowing that I trashed them. And they have proved us all wrong. So, you know what? We're going with Miami. Next up, Buffalo travels to Indy to take on the Colts at home. Indy is -7.5 at home. This should be obvious.
I'm going to take Indy -7.5. Honestly, I don't feel great about it because Indy has been looking fraudulent lately. But, again, I don't like picking the Bills, and I'm going to continue to not pick them.
Yeah, and as fraudulent as Indy has looked, Buffalo is just straight shit. So, Indy definitely, especially at home. Next up, Houston takes on a wounded Jaguars as the Jaguars are looking for some redemption, and they are -5 at home. Does this last week's game affect your decision?
Well, you recall last week I was a little hesitant in picking the Jags, which you were kind of, egging me on, like, oh, what's there to think about here? The Jags got blown out by the Cowboys.
Destroyed.
And you really start to see the problems with, like, the fact that Fournette and Corey Grant aren't playing. That's really screwing them over, I think, among other things. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, Houston, they've looked okay at times, but then they've looked not so great. And I'm going to take a flyer on the Jags at home here.
Yeah, I'm going to take on the Jags at home. Coming off a bad loss, I don't see them losing 2 in a row. I still think the Jags are definitely playoff contenders. They got some things to work on, obviously, but don't see them losing 2 in a row here. And I think they could beat the Texans by 5, or at least 5. So let's go on. Next up, we have Baltimore. I mean, New Orleans traveling to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. The Ravens are -2.5. Who you got?
This is pretty tough, but I am going to go with the Ravens just because, I just feel like the team tends to play a lot better in M&T Bank. We saw last week, even going away, they had like 10 sacks on Mariota.
11. Count them. 11.
Pretty impressive stuff, but again, this is a much higher caliber team they're taking on. But the fact that it's a home game, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a game I've been looking forward to. I mean, not going to lie, Claw's a New Orleans fan. Obvious reasons if you've watched this show long enough. Taysom Hill. Yeah, so New Orleans is definitely a serious team, and I think it just depends on which Baltimore team shows up. Is it going to be the Baltimore team that played the Bengals and the Browns, or is it going to be the Baltimore team that showed up with 11 sacks? Can the Ravens get to Drew Brees 11 times? I don't think so. But if they can get to him at least 4, put some pressure on him, maybe confuse that offense a little bit, I think the Ravens could definitely win by a Justin Tucker field goal, at least. So, yeah, I'm going Baltimore. Next up, Dallas, coming off a triumphant victory, takes on Washington, who came off another good victory. Washington is -1.5 at home.
I'm going to go with Washington here. I'm going to say that what Dallas did was more of a fluke than anything else.
100%.
Maybe we just saw the Jaguars fall apart for a random game, although actually they did have a pretty bad performance against the Chiefs too. But yeah, I just got a feeling that Washington at home is going to be able to get this done.
I'm actually going to shock everybody and actually... No, I'm going to stick with Washington. I think the Redskins have the better quarterback. That was really my decision. I've been talking to a lot of Dallas and Redskins fans over the week. And it was really like, I think Alex Smith is definitely a better quarterback than Dak Prescott. I mean, even though, there's a bit of a learning curve from what I hear in the media, Redskins media, about Alex Smith. But I still think he's going to be good enough to beat them, especially when the Redskins are at home. Next up, the LA Rams, still undefeated. Take on San Francisco, and San Francisco is plus 10 at home. Oh my God!
So the Rams last week did, even though they beat the Broncos, did not cover the spread that was 7 points. This is a wider spread, but the thing is, I gotta tell you,
San Francisco was contending with Green Bay the other night, man.
That's true, but I still don't trust Beathard. I still don't think the defense is good enough, even though they do have Richard Sherman. I'm going to trust the Rams minus 10.
The fact that they were contesting with Green Bay, that was a pretty decent Monday Night Football game. Nobody expected it to be that close. Nobody expected it to be that good. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I got the Rams winning, and for the sake of Todd Gurley, I need him to get like 3 touchdowns, I'm taking on my wife in fantasy football this weekend. So that would be awesome. I'm going to go with San Francisco, though. Split decision. I don't think the Rams are going to cover the spread. They probably will, but dare to be different.
Fair enough, and it's also they got to lose at some point, right? I don't think.
I don't want them to lose because I need Todd Gurley to keep winning. Like, as long as he's scoring, I'm winning. So let's keep it at that. But no, it should be a pretty decent game, I think, honestly. And Sunday Night Football, Cincinnati travels to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs, in which is a game between two really good teams right now. They both are coming off of losses, but nonetheless, they're still 2 decent NFL teams.
Well, the Chiefs finally got their first test.
Not to mention the Chiefs are -6 at home. Boom.
Yeah. Well, the thing about the Chiefs is that they still only lost by like 3 points going into Foxborough, and honestly, the Bengals. This might be a game where they get exposed and they start to look not as good as they have in the first part of the year. I'm going to go with KC -6.
I think you're onto something, and I think you're right. I think between what happened with Pittsburgh, I mean, it's the AFC North. I don't think spreads are even fair in the AFC North because you just never know what's going to happen. But Cincinnati's taking on probably the best NFL team out there. I don't care if the Patriots did beat them by 3 points. I think Kansas City is probably one of the best offenses in the NFL right now. Hands down. And I don't know if the Bengals defense is going to be able to handle that. So I'm going to go with Kansas City. -6 at home. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's keep the dream alive. Next up, the Giants travel to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. And the Falcons are -5.5 at home. And what I am calling Eli's last NFL season.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... I'll go with the Falcons. And now I don't feel great about it because the thing is, the Falcons defense has been dropping players like flies the whole season, and you never know if Barkley or someone could go off. But like you said, Eli Manning sucks, and that could be the difference here. So
yeah, because let's be honest here, Barkley probably a future Hall of Famer. That kid's a beast. I mean, and I think he's one of the few saving graces outside of Odell Beckham on that team. I think. Honestly, if the Giants had a decent quarterback right now, they could be at the top of the NFC East. I don't think that's too hard to imagine.
Well, you got some people that try to blame the Giants' offensive line, but I honestly think some of this has to be put on Eli.
Eli hasn't been playing good in years. It's been quite a few years, actually, since I've seen him noticeably do good. And I'm like, you have a superstar like Odell Beckham who can catch footballs that no one else can catch. You have a beautiful, wonderful young running back who I wish the Ravens could somehow get. That kid is a beast. Whenever he steps on the field, he's probably one of the best, most athletic players out there. So the fact that you can't manage a game good enough to get these to the ball that you can win more games, I'm sorry. There's no excuse. So, yeah, I'm picking Atlanta.
I've got an interesting idea for what the Giants could try to do, though.
Let's hear it.
Get this. You make a trade with the Raiders while Derek Carr is cold.
Whoa.
And you switch quarterbacks, and you maybe throw in a pick for the Raiders.
Whoa.
Get Derek Carr in a better situation, you know what I mean?
Derek Carr and the Giants. I mean, it's the football. It's NFL any given Sunday.
Because like
that would work.
The
that
Giants just need to try another quarterback.
They just need a game manager. They literally just need a guy that can get Odell Beckham the ball. Maybe get a receiver or two. I don't know. But, dude, wow.
Trade for him while he's cold. That's all I'm saying.
That's true, man. I mean, again, who knows?
But that's it. That was the Monday night games. That does it for all the spreads this week. Make sure to stay tuned. And, hey, I mean, if our percentages stay down, just pick the opposite of what we pick. Screw it.
Exactly. Don't listen to us. And don't forget to like, but listen to this. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got a lot of new stuff coming your way. A lot of new content. Again, stay tuned and don't pick our picks.
OMG! You are watching the worst sport... Okay, messed it up. Let me redo it.
It's okay. I know.